Okay, this is Opas Devos. I think it's number 63, and it's the first Opas Devos that I've ever done with my grandchildren here. So I have Chloe. You want to say hi?
Hey.
Hello. You want to say hi, Maddie?
Yeah.
Madison? Yes? You want to say hi?
Hey.
Hey. Eli, you want to say hi?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. You want to say hi?
Hey.
Hey. Okay. So we are out at the farm, and the three children are with me, and I'm going to do this very special edition of Opas Devos, and we're in Genesis 15. Last time I talked to you about God telling Abram that he was his shield, that he didn't need a shield because if he had God with him, then you don't need a shield. And I don't remember too much. I should have listened to see what I said, but I'm gonna do the next few verses and cover one of the favorite passages in all the Bible for me, okay? So Abram talks to God in verse 2, and he says, I don't have a child, and I'm going to die childless because you haven't given me a son. And I'm going to have to leave everything to this Eliezer of Damascus, one of his servants. Remember, God had promised Abram that he would have a son. Remember that?
Yeah.
Even though he was old? Well, the son never came yet. And so Abram said, look, see, you've given me no children, and I'm going to have to give everything I have in my house to someone else because I don't have any kids. I don't have a boy. And so then, verse 4, and behold, the word of the Lord came to him saying, this one, in other words, that servant, he is not going to be your heir. You know what an heir is?
I don't know.
An heir is the person who gets all of your things when you die. Okay, when a person dies, he leaves his things to an heir. Usually it's in this case, it's usually a son. So he said, leave her alone, Eli. This one will not be your heir, but one will come from your own body. One who will come from your own body shall be your heir. So God is telling Abram
That his son will be.
he's going to have a son. Doesn't matter how old he is, he's going to have a son because God is going to do a miracle. That's really, really odd that someone as old as Abram and Sarah would have a child, but that's what God promised. And Abram didn't think it was going to happen anymore. No, Eli, you stay there. And what?
Abraham counted the stars.
Well, he hasn't counted them yet. Good, that's a good answer, but Abram hadn't counted them. So, you know where Abram is when he's talking to God?
On a mountain.
No, I don't think so. I think he's in his tent, going to bed. And because, you know why? Because in the next verse, look what it says. Then he, that's God, brought him outside. Okay, throw it so that Roxy will, don't hit us. Okay, here, I'll get him something. There, go. Okay. Okay, so let's listen. Verse 5. Then he, that is God, brought him outside and said, look now toward heaven and count the stars. So what time of the day was it?
Night.
Exactly, because he couldn't have counted or seen the stars if it was daytime. So that means he was in bed probably, or at least in his tent at nighttime. And what did God tell him? Look now toward heaven, and what is he supposed to do with the stars?
Count them.
Count the stars. Well, he said, you count them if you are able to number them, he said. And so Abram obviously went out there, and he started counting. Can you count the stars?
Yes, sir.
Yes and no. You can count them because you can start counting them. 1, 2. Can you ever count them all?
No.
No way. There are way more stars than we can see. So why did God have Abram count the stars? Then he said, if you are able to number them. And then he said to him, so shall your descendants be. What did that mean? That meant that God was going to give him not only a son, but he was going to give him a son who was going to have sons and daughters and sons and daughters, and then until finally he was going to be a whole nation, and there were going to be so many people that Abram wouldn't even be able to count them.
Like, did he...
Come closer so you can hear you on I'm recording here. I can't hear you from there. Yeah.
Is he the one who had
Yes, exactly. Israel came from him. So today Israel is a nation of millions of people.
And his name before he was named Israel was Jacob?
Yes, but that was someone else. That was Abram's grandson. And we'll come to that story later on in the Bible. But you're right that it is the same family. So God told Abram, you count the stars, and you're not going to be able to count them, and I'm going to give you as many children down through the years as there are stars. If you can count the stars, then you'll be able to count your children. Well, Abram wasn't going to be able to count his children because there were going to be so many. And so God said, anytime that you think I'm not going to give you that miracle son, you go out into the night and you look up into the stars and you count the stars and you remember what I told you. You remember the promise that I gave you and the command to count the stars. So next time, Madison, next time you go out into the nighttime and look up and see the what?
Stars.
The stars, what are you going to do?
Count them.
Yeah, why don't you count a few? No, Opa's done that a lot of times.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I can't count them all, but I can count 10. I can count 20. I can count 30. But it doesn't matter really how many you count. The most important thing is that we believe God. That God said, I can do anything I tell you I will do. I will always keep my promises. So when he tells us that he will keep us safe, that he'll watch over us, that he'll provide for us, that he'll protect our family.
We need to obey.
That's right. And how can we show him that we want to obey? Why, when it's nighttime, we can go out and we can
pray.
Well, both are good answers. We can pray, but we can what?
Count the stars.
Count the stars. Okay, well, next time you count the stars, you tell your mommy so she can tell me, and so she can say, Madison counted 20 stars, or Chloe counted 40 stars. I'll tell you a trick. I think it'll work. You might get your mommy to take a picture at nighttime, and then you can look at the picture and count the stars. What do you think of that? Okay, well, how about if we say, hey, Eli, come here and say goodbye to all of our friends on the audio. Madison, you want to say goodbye?
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Okay, well, God is good, isn't he?
Yes,
We're enjoying the sun here and sitting on the logs that we've cut for the fireplace. And Roxy is here begging us to throw sticks to them. So, we're going to let it go at that. Goodbye.
Goodbye.